We are in New York City at the Hilton Millennium. We are on the 28th floor. We're pretty high. Right now, Walter went to run the errand. We've already walked around for a while. It's a small room, but it's comfortable. That's the TV that's on. Earl is down this direction. We accidentally found his apartment, just walking down the street exploring. And here's our room. Like I said, like most of the rooms in New York are small, but quite adequate for the city that never sleeps. And we hope to see as much of it as we can while we're here. The families of two kids who drowned Friday are still trying to come to grips with it.
Help us.
Yes. You want to focus it, you got to use this up here, baby.
With that opening became the world's only 14-lane suspension bridge. It weighs over 1 million tons. You can see the Empire State Building over there at 34th and 5th. It also opened in 1931. 23,000 tons of steel, over 5,000 windows, 73 elevators. Observation decks are open until midnight on the 86 and 102nd story levels, where King Kong hung out with his girlfriend, Fay Ray. Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks got together up there in Sleepless in Seattle, 31. If you look behind this tan building with a slanted side, you'll get a glimpse of the Madison Square Garden. With a gold point on top over there, the gold roof, that's New York Life Insurance Company at Madison Square. That was the site of the original Madison Square Garden. Farther down is a taller building with a small gold dome on top. That is Metropolitan Life Insurance Company at 23rd Street. When that building opened in 1909 at 50 stories, that was the tallest building in the world. This old factory was developed in the 1830s by a young man named Clement Clark Moore. You know him for a children's poem he wrote that starts out, "'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house." This large structure here with a screen or mesh around it is a 4-tier golf driving range. Thomas Adams over in Hoboken introduced us to something called chewing gum. He called his product Chiclets. This pier, with the iron arch at the other end, is at 14th Street. 14th Street is the widest point of Manhattan Island, 2.5 miles wide. That's where the Carpathia brought 703 survivors from the Titanic in 1912.
I gotta take a picture of that. Do that again. On the bow of my ship.
14th Street used to be uptown around the beginning of the 20th century. fasteners. When Bell Labs was in that building, they developed the rotary telephone there, allowing you to pointed roof. Is the Woolworth building. The Twin Towers are twice the height of the old Woolworth building. They are 110 stories high each. They are the headquarters for import and export shipping in this country. 1,200 companies employ about 50,000 workers with another 100,000 visitors every day. The North Tower is where you see that large antenna. That antenna used to be a large crane where they were constructing the building. They finished construction in 1974, but figure out how to break down. So they turned it into a TV antenna. The South Tower is on the right. That's where you'll find the observation deck. A 57-second elevator ride, 1/4 of a mile straight up, will take you to the top. And on a clear day, you can probably see Philadelphia. 21,000 windows in the Twin Towers. Each tower has its own zip code. The observation deck up there is open until 9:30 p.m. They have a movie up there, restaurants, shops. Great view. You see the whole harbor up there. The shorter buildings in front are known as the World Financial Center, where you find Earl, Dow Jones, Oppenheimer, American Express, Lehman Brothers. Out front. You can park your yacht there for 27.5 feet long and drops 3 feet every minute. That large light building way over there is the Liberty Science Center in Liberty State Park. The dome on the right end is the largest IMAX theater in the country. The tent is Cirque du Soleil tent. That very ornate brick building with the steep is the old Jersey Center. That's 19 railroad track bringing passenger train service into that terminal that ferryboat can take the passengers over to the tank. That is now the visitor's entrance to Liberty State Park in 1976. And the real tall building over here with the bright green roof, that's 40 Wall Street, Boston, Donald Trump. The little gray building down here on the waterfront is the Museum of Jewish Heritage, a living memorial to the Holocaust. Directly out in front of us, if you look way out there, you can see the entrance to New York Harbor from the Atlantic Ocean. The bridge out there is the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. That chandelier there is called the Narrows. It's on the left side of the bridge, and Staten Island's on the right. The towers on that bridge are 70 stories high and 4,000. That is where Battery Park City ends. On the other side of that is what we call just the Battery, or Battery Park. Battery Park City, the Battery. You've heard that song, New York, New York, a heck of a town, the Bronx is up, the Battery's down.
The people ride in a hole in the ground.
Out there. There's a brick fortress over among the trees called Castle Clinton, named for New England, the former mayor and governor of New York. That fortress is one right across the way over on Governor's Island. 7 stories or taller is classified as a skyscraper. On that site back in 1819, a famous author was born named Herman Melville. Wrote a book about a white whale. There's a Staten Island ferry and its slip. Right behind the U.S. Coast Guard station, you'll be able to see a little chapel called Our Lady of the Rosary. On that site was born the first American-born saint, Elizabeth Ann Seton. There it is. In the early 1800s, a 16-year-old boy borrowed $100 from his mom and bought a small boat. The boat could carry 21 passengers. He began charging 36 cents to ferry passengers to and from Manhattan and Staten Island. At the end of the first year, he paid back $100 plus $1,000 to his mom and kept the rest for himself. His name was Cornelius Vanderbilt. In 1902, the city of New York took over Staten Island ferry, charging 5 cents. They remained at 5 cents for 70 years. In 1972, they raised the fare to 25 cents. So many people were hiding in the restroom, so they would end up paying the fare back. They did away with the fare altogether a couple years ago. Now it's free. Ride back and forth as many times as you like, no charge. If you take your car across, it's $3. This pier here on your left with the gray building and the little yellow truck is a heliport with helicopter ferry service to and from the airports. This is where the president lands when he comes to New York. Never seen too much of George W., but Bill Clinton used to blame him so much he moved here. Made his life a senator. On your right is Old Brooklyn. That's Brooklyn Heights. Some of those townhouses there date back to the Civil War days. About 25 of the buildings in Brooklyn Heights belong to the American War in 1909. The White Vessel is a floating hospital belonging to the City Health Department. It's about 100 years old. These white bubble piers belong to the New York Health and Racquet Club. Air-conditioned tennis courts. You can play tennis over there for about $100 an hour. If you look right down here to your left, right after that first bubble pier, you can see Wall Street. Trinity Church is at the very end, where Alexander Hamilton is buried. On the downtown side is the New York Stock Exchange. On the uptown side, Federal Hall, where George Washington was sworn in as the first president of the United States in 1789, when New York was the U.S. capital. The Bill of Rights was adopted there. This is South Street Seaport. This was the first seaport area in New York City. By the 1800s, we had over 744 miles of waterfront Asian shipping operations. That long two-story tan building on the right side of Pier 17 is the Fulton Fish Market, the largest wholesale fishery on the Atlantic seaboard since 1821. About 9 million pounds of fresh fish come through there every year. Just completed his finishing job. New Yorkers were afraid to drive their horses, carriages across the bridge. Gentlemen by the name of E.T. Barnum converted some elephants across the bridge to demonstrate its strength. We do a lot of filming and TV and fashion photography over here. In 1998, Obix. That's the Queensboro or 59th Street Bridge right there. Simon and Garfunkel wrote a song about it called Feeling Groovy. Under the bridge is 2-mile-long Roosevelt Island. You can see the ruins of an old smallpox hospital right there on the end. That real tall black tower rising up just beyond the UN is being built by Donald Trump. A 90-story apartment building. Bill Gates just bought a whole floor for $20 million, 2 apartments. They hate it. They lost, he won, it's up. One neighbor right across the street from that building, making the biggest fuss, Walter Cronkite, he said, "It's blocking my view, that's the way it is." There's a tall green tower right behind the UN. That's an extension of the Secretariat. Has office facilities and the United Nations Hotel where delegates can live. We have made our turn. We're heading back down the river and out to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty. I'm going to take a short break. The concession stand is open downstairs. The restrooms are right under the forward staircase. I'll rejoin you out at Ellis Island.
They're very strange looking buildings. They're kind of chopped up from.
District activity in 1907 when over 1 million people arrived here, an average of 5,000 a day, 7 days a week. They call it the Isle of Tears, as anxious immigrants had to pass very stringent requirements to enter the country. Those with a shady past back home, those with incurable illnesses were detained or sent back. But most of them got through. 1 in 3 Americans have relatives who arrived in this country by way of Ellis Island. They also were required to have at least $2 in cash on their persons. Many of them didn't have it, having spent every penny they owned, having sold all their possessions in order to afford passage to American freedom. So as they stood in line in customs, they passed the same $2 to the person behind the line, and they in turn would pass the same $2 to the person behind them. So